Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video early in the morning. We'll see how well I can keep my voice down. I usually suck at that, as you know. But this is the day that we're finally gonna work on the kitchen floor. I showed you guys about 10, 11 days ago, maybe even more, where they had to pull up the kitchen floor that was down there, and it had a lot of water damage and stuff like that. So about a week and a half ago, we did all that, and they came back while I wasn't able to allow them to come in to finish the job. So we rescheduled the job for today, but we don't know what time the job is going to be done. So last time they showed up, I think it was probably around 10 in the morning, something like that. So anywhere from 9:30 and all the way up until probably like 4 o'clock could be when they come. I don't think they're gonna want to do work after that hour, so I gotta be available for them, and the stuff that's in the kitchen, of course, had to be moved out. Now I still got the big stuff in there. The fridge and my oven need to be disassembled and pulled out of there, but everything else, I've done the job. But it's been a really interesting week in regards to that, and I've been kind of in a spiritual space ever since they did that. And what I mean by spiritual space is this is the truth. And you guys know I'm a little different. I'm a therapy session kind of guy. So if you hear something crazy in this, that's what we're here for, to work on the brain. But I'm a spiritual kind of guy, and I did not document what happened in regards to the kitchen floor because I didn't want to talk about it. It wasn't nothing that I felt people would receive and say, oh, okay. You got to be open-minded to receive my truth in regards to what's going on with this thing. So, make a long story very short. After they pulled the floor up and did everything they had to do, they left the floor as it was, of course, because, we're in between the job. And when that happened, this apartment started feeling different. And when I say different, I mean like it had a very heavy feeling about it, as if some entirely new energy had came in here and disrupted what I know to be my apartment. And it was 2 days where I had a hard time just motivating myself to do certain things, as if I was in depression again. But I know how it feels when I'm in depression. It has certain thoughts attached to it. It has certain mentality attached to it. I'm usually in something that makes me feel bad, or, you know what I mean? I've done a great deal over the last year and a half of learning what depresses me and how to fight it. And from there, how to more or less overcome it to a degree. I still have a lot of work to do, but I've come more than halfway, I guess is what you can say. I've made some serious ground on my depression and how to fight it. So when I started going into that little space after that happened, it didn't add up. What I mean by that is like my thoughts, I feel fine. In my head, I'm feel fine. I was paying attention to my interests, but when it was time for me to get up and work out, I had very little energy. When I'd walk around the house, I'd feel this heaviness as if something sad was going on. Every time I'd walk in that kitchen, I would feel the heaviness of that energy being more so. So at first I was thinking, okay, maybe whatever they unearthed under that thing, maybe, whatever's in it, the chemicals of it, whatever the water damage was, maybe something's making me sick. Maybe that's what it was. I was like, I don't want to step on this floor at all without my shoe on. So that was one of my things, obviously, since, that water damage had been a part of the problem for over years. So walking on that floor probably wasn't the smartest thing. And I remember hearing some things that was posted about when you walk around barefoot and what you allow to seep into your spirit and what you allow to seep into your body by way of your foot, your feet, and your pores. Something that Kyrie Irving had posted that I mentioned on one of my therapy sessions. It said that your feet are like the sockets to the earth, and the earth is like the plug. You know what I mean? And you walk around barefoot, you get what you need from the world. So I was thinking about that spiritually, and I think about how I walk around my house 100% of the time barefoot, including in that kitchen until now. But I was just thinking about how it, like, who knows what was going on that floor in terms of who walked on this floor, who thought what thoughts while walking on that floor, who was engaged in what arguments when they lived here, if something terrible may have happened in this kitchen or whatever. I don't know. But what I'm telling you is, it took me 2 days to figure out that what was wrong with me was in that kitchen. It took me 2 days of walking around the house feeling depressed without having depressed thoughts to realize that something spiritual was happening to me. So what I was able to realize was that energy, whatever it was something that was not the energy that I got from it. Once I started to realize that it wasn't my own depression that I was feeling, but something else's or someone else's, I started to assess what it was that was coming my way. What is this that I'm feeling? Or somebody else's pain? Is it evil? Is it looking to hurt me or push me out of my comfort zone in my home? As I start to assess what it was that I was feeling, manifesting whatever it was that it was, I said to myself, nah, that's not what I'm getting from it. What I'm getting is just a very sad energy. A kind person with sad energy was what I got from that vibe. A kind person with sad energy. And, I don't understand certain things as it pertains to the spirit. I only know what I've been told, ghost stories and things that I've read over the years, so I can only apply that to what it is that I experience in this. And what I can say is, I don't know if ghosts are real, but I can tell you that I believe when people go through a lot of horrible things or feel a lot of deep thoughts or have heavy spirits, so to speak, and they stay in a place for a long time, just like the heaviness of someone who can come into your house with bad energy can be bad, and you'll feel it change the energy of your house, and you might need to say a prayer or burn some sage or whatever to make the apartment or the place feel better. So too, but in a much stronger way, when someone's lived somewhere, even though they haven't been there in a long time, if they've lived somewhere, you're going to probably feel some of their energy if you have that ability. Now, what I have come to discover is that from what it is that I'm seeing, spiritual energy can be suppressed underneath things. And I talked about this as well in regards to that my mother's picture that we found in her room at my grandmother's old house when my grandmother had passed, and we cleaned the house out. And I told you about that in the last, I think it was maybe like 5 therapy sessions ago. I might have mentioned that to you, and relating to this, as a matter of fact. But it's one of those things. It was like that moment, finding that picture told me and showed me that when you're sensitive to spiritual things or energy on things, they can be suppressed. In other words, I didn't feel what was going on until they unearthed the floor, until they ripped up the floor that was down there, until I actually felt what was under there. It was suppressed completely by whatever it was, the laminate that was placed over it. Maybe somebody said a prayer before they put that laminate over it, or maybe that's just how it works. But until they pulled that up, I didn't feel that energy at all. Now, when I determined or declared that it was a good spirit with depressive energy, when I came to that conclusion on my own, what I did was said, okay, your energy is strong. I gotta live in this apartment and you're bumping my spirit. So what needs to happen is I either need to leave myself or we have to find a way to coexist. And so my thinking was, well, I don't get bad vibes from you. I'm just feeling your bad vibes. So as I started to pray and assess what I could do, in order to make myself feel more comfortable in my house and not be so dang, receptive to whatever it was that I was feeling, I felt like it was gonna need some treatment, just like any other situation that is a sickness. It needs treatment. And so in the situation at hand, in my mind, I was thinking, okay, this place needs prayer. And just like anyone who's depressed, it needs positive energy. So what did I do? Well, here's the thing. Timeline is a little screwed up because I can't seem to figure out if when they came back to work on the floor was before that or after that. I don't remember, and it's probably a big part of what we're talking about. But the point is, it was understood that we had approximately 14 days when it was sure that they weren't going to be able to do the job until today. It was understood that I had 14 days or 12 days or whatever it was to improve the energy in my kitchen. Improve the energy in my kitchen, meaning whatever prayers I need to pray, whatever things that need to be done, whatever words I need to run around here and say to get that energy not to be as heavy, my goal was to make it so that energy was not as heavy by this day. Because the way I saw it was, in all the movies and all the ghost stories I've ever seen where people come into a haunted house or a haunted place, it's always you, the human, having to either call somebody to exorcise the ghost out, or you, the human, have to leave yourself, as I already said. And my mind was, this isn't a situation where I believe God, and I believe God has been moving me to be in this apartment. And as I've told you guys, throughout my process of holding my AMC shares and everything I'm trying to do with the stock, the thing that compelled me to stay here was ultimately saving money, fixing my mental health, for which had crashed and burned, and the very depression that I've learned how to heal. The very depression that I was feeling coming from that kitchen. So the way I looked at it was, in my little mind, is the Lord has told me and shown me how to fight depression on all levels. Not just human, but beyond. I know exactly how to fight it. You fight it with unselfish intent for others, meaning praying for other people and wanting to see them succeed, so that your problems are not the center of your mind. Whether things are leaning right or left for you, your happiness is not contingent upon that. So you get to survive your circumstances regardless, because you're rooting for someone else. You psych yourself out. And because there is an actual God, He's going to be happy with your unselfishness in regards to that. So He will help begin to heal you by way of those other people. You will see them succeed. You will see other things happen in their lives that ultimately give you the courage and belief that God is on right around the corner with something for you. That's what I've learned. This is what fighting depression has taught me from a spiritual space. So when I apply the idea that God is real, I don't fear such things as spiritual energy or ghosts, or wonder if the ghost is real or whether or not this task in front of me is based on whether or not the ghost is real. That's not the point. It's based on the fact that I believe in God, and He's given me this understanding of how to fight depression, and now He's given me a test from which to fight it on a spiritual level. See what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if the ghost is real or not. I've manifested a task from which to use a formula for which has worked for me, to apply it to something else to see if it works there. In regards to improving someone else's energy, for which may not actually exist. Now, this is why it's crazy, but it's also worth talking about. This is why. Because in order for me to do that, I would have to overcome my own negative feelings in the moment. Now, even though I'm not depressed, what I was feeling energy that obviously was negative, that was coming from some unknown place. What needed to be helped was that energy. So my thinking was this: every day when I walk into that kitchen in the morning, I'm going to tell that energy aloud that it's doing fantastic, that whatever it is you're worried about, you have a prayer partner, and whoever it is that's left behind that you're concerned about, we're going to pray about them and for them. And then throughout my day, I'm going to check in on you, say a prayer in this place, and improve the energy as we go along. Because I'm here all day, you're here all day. You don't have, and what I would say to the energy that was listening to me is, you don't have to change for me. You don't have to change for me. But you do have to change for God. You do have to change for yourself. You do have to liberate yourself from being in this place. And I relate to you because just like you, I've compelled myself to this place indefinitely. Fighting my demons, hiding from the world, And just like you, God has assigned me to this apartment to heal myself from my pain. And just like me, you're going to help me through that. Just like you, I'm going to help you through that. And that's exactly what the energy was. I went in that kitchen and the first morning, said those words, and the room was still heavy. That spiritual energy that was there, I still felt the depression upon my head, all the way down to my feet. It was a sadness that only hit me as I crossed that threshold in that kitchen. It's the only time it would really hit. Other than that, it was just like, it was like a aroma, of sadness, so to speak. Not necessarily something that touches you, but something you can kind of sense. But when you're in there, you feel it. And as the days started progressing, that feeling became lighter and lighter. As I would go in there, cook my food, say a prayer, just pray for the energy of whoever used to live there, pray for the energy of what it was that I was feeling, asking Lord to whatever it is that they were hurting from, start to heal their process. Whatever it is that would otherwise keep them bound to this apartment, start to liberate them in Jesus' name. Like, I started saying real prayers that can only provide welcoming and healing and an environment for which things can get better without you leaving. That was the type of prayers I was praying. This is your apartment, but I don't want you to just have the apartment. When you liberate yourself from this space, I want you to inherit the entire land, just like the rest of the good spirits that should have this land. Like, these are the type of prayers I was praying. And as I was praying those prayers, I just felt the energy start to lift a little bit. It wasn't as bad. And I think it was the third day I went in there and I was telling the energy, you're doing good, man. You were feeling good. I can feel your energy. You don't have to leave. Don't feel bad about nothing. Let's just continue to work on what we need to do to heal. And as I would say my morning prayers, I would involve that energy in my prayers. I'd be like, whatever they are, whatever they need, just provide. And whatever's left behind for them, if they have people here, check in on their people. Improve their people's circumstance. So while they're sitting in this apartment, haunting this place sad, the things that they're worried about are getting better in Jesus' name. Like, I'm praying these prayers. Like, the people behind them, people who've forgotten about them, whatever it is, may they be found. May they remember them. May stuff that they are worried about just ultimately start to work out. And it was a moment that I had. This is when it gets really, really interesting. It was a moment that I had when I got in that kitchen that third day, and it was like a voice, like a literal voice said, have a seat on the countertop here. Like, just have a seat. It was almost like that energy was finally reaching back out to me. It spoke to me. As I was in prayer, I had filtered everything through the Holy Spirit, from whom I pray everything, which is why I felt the confidence to do all this, because all of it was through Christ, whom I serve. But in the process of going through this sitting down process, I just felt this overwhelming peace, and then a real wave of sadness. When I say a real wave, it was like my mother had passed away all over again. But it wasn't my sadness. It was whatever I was picking up on. And I sat on that countertop, and tears started rolling down my face. My head turned to the right. I looked outside the window. I didn't see nothing. But I was compelled to look in that direction. Then I was compelled to look down. I don't know what was going on, but I was having a complete moment with this thing. And I just started saying prayers. I was like, Lord, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand this. But I'm lending myself to its energy and the betterment of its healing. Because we have, 10 days left? And I think we've made some breakthroughs. I want to be able to feel comfortable in my apartment again spiritually, and I want this energy to be able to feel comfortable without feeling it needs to stay here. I want it to be able to come and go as it pleases, because it's home just like me. And I feel like a spirit who's bound to this apartment. It shouldn't be too. So whatever it is that they need to be able to have that freedom, Father, that's what I'm lending my spirit to. And then there was a situation after that where it was like, after that whole little session, crying session, looking out the window, all kinds of weird stuff, I then, it was kind of compelled to me to just start my creative process in that kitchen. What that means is, like, do a playlist in there. involve that energy in my creative space so it can have something else to feel besides the depression that it's forever in. I gave it something else to do. So what I did was I sat on that countertop. After we had finished feeling our feelings, I did a playlist on the countertop. And I swear to you, as sure as I've been speaking for 20 minutes, I was looking for music that I could, because it's one of the situations where it's like, when I make a playlist, I take a bunch of music that I think is like sounding, and I put it together. But sometimes I don't have enough music to complete the timing from which I want. When I was sitting on that countertop, and this is the truth, I heard a voice that told me exactly where to find a specific song. I'm telling you the truth. Now, mind you, I didn't know what song I was looking for. It was an open-ended situation. I had gotten through about 15 or 16 songs, and I was stuck. I could not find no music. And I'm sitting on that countertop, and I felt like this feeling, like chills on my arm, like goosebumps. And then the voice said, check the new music playlist that they have on iTunes. Check the new music playlist. You will find something there. And I was like, all right, let's check it out. It took literally 10 seconds for me to scroll, click, and find something. I kid you not. And the new music playlist is a playlist that they update on Apple Music every week that specifies new music that they think you like. I was stuck, y'all. When I say I was stuck, I was scrolling through a bunch of artists trying to find something that sounded like what I needed. Now, the new music playlist, if you guys notice, they just take random music. So it's not like they have a specific sound that they're going for. It's whatever you like. They just take the best from the new stuff and put it in together. So the odds of me finding a song that matches the playlist I was working on wasn't all that high. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they had something that fit so perfectly, it was divine. And I know that was exactly what that was. I was allowing that energy to come in on my creative space, and it was actually helping me along the way make playlists. And this is the thing. If anybody actually hears that playlist, K-List 308, a ghost helped me make it. I know that sounds crazy. I'm crazy. So I'm okay telling you guys the truth. A ghost helped me make the K-List 308. I kid you not. Because every song was compelled by the energy that I was feeling in that room as I was sitting on that countertop. Every choice of song came to me because I was vibing off of what it was that was not my own energy. And at the end of that creative process, when I finished that playlist and listened to that playlist, the energy in there was different. That was the very last time. As soon as we finished that playlist and was listening to that playlist, as I was sitting on that countertop, I haven't felt that energy in there since. That was it. That kitchen has been vacant ever since that moment. And essentially, what I gathered was, we did it. We exercised the goal that God wanted us to have. We improved the room's energy. Now, whether or not there's an actual ghost in there or not is irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. Because the practice of applied faith and belief that you can be the solution, and the belief that you can improve energy that otherwise is beyond you, and the fact that you did was the only goal. That was the purpose of it. It isn't about whether or not there's a ghost in there or not. It's about whether or not I can heal my mental health of literally anything that comes my way. If it's an irrational spiritual energy, I can fight it with the same God that I fight rational spiritual energy, is what I'm telling you. It doesn't matter what it is. You apply good energy to it and you defeat it. You can't fight fire with fire. All the movies, all the stuff that they told us about exorcism was about you using the Holy Spirit to force spiritual energy out of a place that it was comfortable in. That never made sense to me. If I'm the guest and I come to a place where you're depressed, I'm the guest. It's supposed to be my energy that improves your situation. Now, I look at things as divine. It's divine. It's all God. I'm here because God said so. Every moment I live is a borrowed time because I wanted to die 7 years ago, and He didn't allow me to. So what I'm telling you is, when I apply thought to things, it's always God now. If I'm not applying God, it don't make no sense. Nothing is without God. So even if it's some irrational thing in my brain that's making me see stuff that ain't there, or feel stuff that isn't there, the point is, when you apply the Holy Spirit, He can still give you something for which you can bring to somebody else. You see what I'm saying? So the purpose of me going through that, whether it was psychosis or real spiritual energy, was to bring you the lesson that came with it, which is, you can be the solution to whatever it is that you're dealing with. You, with God, because I don't do nothing without Him, can improve the energy of a situation, whether it be spiritual energy or somebody else's situation, or not situation, but somebody else's energy. You can improve it by being unselfish, being intent on being the solution, and ultimately allowing Christ to heal you and guide you in the process. I didn't have to exorcise this demon. I didn't have to call a priest. I am the priest. You understand what I'm saying to you? It's God within me that can overcome any and all spiritual energy that comes against me. All. So I don't have to be defensive against it. It's not against me at all, because it can't hurt me. That's the point. And if it can't hurt me, then what can I do for it? Well, if it can't hurt me, I can definitely be a solution for it. And that's how we need to start thinking about a lot of different things that we don't apply our thought to. We don't. Because we were taught how to fight energy like that, but we were not told how to heal energy like that. And what I'm telling you is, I can. I'm not saying it as a declaration so you hire me as an exorcist. I'm telling you as a declaration, understand that if you have Christ in your heart, you don't need to fear things like that. If you have that connection to the source that's real, a real connection with the source, He'll tell you what to do with energy like that so you can be the solution to energy like that. Whether there's a ghost or not, it was liberated because God told me to liberate it. Told me how to liberate it by giving me depression many, many years ago that I had to pull myself out of in order to apply that method to this situation. It worked. Creativity, unselfishness, prayer, and positive affirmations of truth. You can do it. You're doing well. Every time I walk in that room, what I say, you're doing well. You don't have to change your energy. You don't have to make yourself light for me. Let's just work on the organic nature of what it is that we're feeling so that energy can be positive, just in the opposite of it, rather than to say you need to suppress that energy or to make yourself lesser for me so I can feel comfortable. Give me some of that energy so I can use some of it to make a better playlist. Give me some of that energy so I can remind myself of what it is that real depression is versus what it is that I've been feeling. Because when I sat in that countertop and I felt the pain of what it is that I was feeling, I knew the difference between what it was I was mulling over with anxiety and various different childhood traumas and what it was dealing with, which was the finality, the finite understanding that their life was over. And that whatever it was they were concerned about was still in their minds. And they couldn't leave this place because of it. And what I wanted them to understand is that that was all purposeful. Because the Lord wanted you to be here so He could use me to do this. So what you were going through and haunting this place wasn't just about you haunting this place. It was about you helping me and that we help each other at the exact time we were supposed to. So no, they couldn't come in here and put the laminate down on the floor just yet. They couldn't have unearthed that floor and fixed the water damage at any point while that water damage was bad. Why? Because the Lord had a plan for both energies, both my energy and whatever the heck that was. And the timing of that plan needed to align so perfectly so that He could do exactly what He wanted to do. So it can manifest it into something very specific, this video and that playlist. A lot of people listen to me saying that boy is gone. I never disagreed with that, which is why I allow my mind to go into these places. I don't think people who believe themselves to be sane allow themselves to even go here. They're told not to. They don't let their brains go into places that they're told not to because you end up crazy. I don't mind crazy. I don't mind crazy. Crazy's new. Crazy is the thing that's outside of you. And because it's outside of you, it's going to teach people to do things that it's never done before. Crazy has always taught us how to be new. So I embrace my crazy with an understanding that balance is what it's about. You can be crazy. You just have to be balanced in your energy. You can be a little different. You just have to understand people's space. You just have to understand that you are not entitled to people's bodies or entitled to people's time or entitled to people's money just because you exist. You understand what I'm saying? This is where crazy goes wrong. Crazy thinks it's entitled a lot of times, and some crazies I've seen, that ain't the crazy I am. No. I just allow myself to go to places that I was told not to because I was told that this is what sane is, and what I feel it is a lot of times just suppression of imagination. Suppression of imagination, suppression of thought, and ultimately suppression of different variables that help me understand with the fullness of what it is I'm experiencing, which is life. When I involve the spirit in ways that they told me not to, things make a lot more sense to me. When I apply what it is that I just told you for the last 30 minutes, it makes a lot more sense to me than any of the stuff they ever told me about exorcism or ghosts or anything like that. My own experience made a lot more sense to me. You know what I'm saying? You gotta look at it like this. And I tried to touch on it a little bit earlier right here, but if an entity is stuck somewhere, depressed and dead, the last thing it needs from those who are free and alive is for it to be exorcised out of this situation. To go where exactly? Certainly not to heaven. For all I know, this is purgatory for both of us. I'm in living purgatory because I ain't left this place in a year and a half. For good reasons. And it was in literal purgatory because it hadn't left in much longer. There's a big variable about this situation I didn't mention. It's worth talking about. When I first felt the energy before I realized what it was, it came to me in the form of a lady I used to know. Back when I was a little bitty kid, it was a lady that we used to call Grandma. She used to work at the Assistance League Children's Club in Hollywood. And she was a lady that my mom and I befriended, and a couple of my mom's friends befriended, and we used to kind of drive her around places. Farmers market, stuff like that, pick up some grapes here and there, go over there, pick up some perfume, that kind of thing. And then we drop her back off at her apartment, kind of go inside sometimes, sit there for a couple hours. And this era lasted probably about a year, where we were real close to this lady. I don't know what happened to her. I think she kind of wore my mom's nerves because she used to kind of take advantage, want my mom to take her places while my mom had to work, stuff like that. She just got it got a little much because she was an elderly lady who needed to go places, So my mom was a lady that ultimately said yes, so she kind of took it too far sometimes, I think, for my mom's liking, that is. But I still remember her. I was little. When I say little, probably about 8. And she was already about 80, 90 years old. But I hadn't thought of that lady since I was a child, man. And she's the energy that came to me when I first felt the feeling of that kitchen. So what I was thinking was, maybe this was her apartment. Maybe she knew somebody who lived here. Maybe she was wrapped up in whatever it was that was, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it was, that's whose came to me immediately. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. Maybe somebody can do the homework for me and tell me if that lady, actually lived in this apartment. But that's whose energy came to me immediately. It's the first person that came to mind. And so I just felt like that was I felt if she wasn't involved in this place in any way, I felt like it was her spirit that was a bridge to help me understand what the task was. Because I think that was the first time I started to realize in my mind that this was something that I needed to kind of engage with. It's like, oh, that's Grandma. Oh, and I started wondering, well, if you're Grandma, then of course I could talk to you. It was that kind of thing. So I think that's what kind of gave me the confidence to think that I could be a solution to the energy, because it was familiar. And I was like, wait a minute, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was, y'all. So as I started to try to assess what it was that was coming off of that kitchen, the vibes of feeling like I was in her apartment came back to me. That's what it was. That's exactly how it was. It was like, oh, so that's what it felt. It kind of felt like Grandma's house. That's what it felt like. It felt like her apartment, the energy permeating from that kitchen floor. It had a vibe that was familiar to her. And so that's where I just ran with that. But yeah, I want you guys to understand that this is not the first ghost story or experience like this that I've had. That one story that I told you about with the picture, with my mom's high school picture, it was why I knew what I was feeling immediately, because it was the same type of feeling that came off of that floor, that came off of that picture. And that's how I knew what I was dealing with. All of the things that I'm spiritually touched by, anything that spiritually bumps my spirit is going to feel that way. It's going to have a certain specific tone of feeling to it. And so now that's one of the reasons why I felt like I knew what I was dealing with and why I knew I needed to engage with it. So this is what prayer does for me, man. It opens up the spirit. This is what identifying as somebody who's mentally ill does. It allows me to venture into places that I know other people won't allow themselves to, because it's crazy. And then I read the signs in regards to what it is that I'm given. Since I'm afforded the opportunity to apply that thought, what I'm able to also see is how things align with it. As they say, the math adds up. It doesn't add up, it adds up. The math adds up. Not only is it some weird entity energy coming off of me telling me this is that, not only is it some, belief in God that helps me believe that I'm some solution to whatever the problem is, but it's also, what's actually in that playlist that it told me to go to. It's that feeling that I get when I'm praying for the betterment of the energy, and suddenly that energy just kind of puts like a hold around me as if to thank me for doing so. Like little stuff like that I didn't mention. Saying prayers about that situation in that bathroom, that connects to the kitchen, and just ultimately, getting the feeling that energy was improving as I was continuing to pray those prayers, praying prayers of liberation, giving them the ability to come and go as they please, giving them the ability to reunite with people that they haven't seen in a long time, people they may want to, kind of drop in on their dreams. My aunt Cheryl, who passed away back in the 90s, drops in on my dreams every once in a while, just to check in on me. Sometimes she'll make it so that's like 100 people in the room with us, so she's not the only person, so it ain't about her. These are the type of things that I think a free spirit is able to do. If your spirit is free, you can roam, you can visit people you love, you can do things. You're not stuck underneath a laminate waiting for somebody to pray for you and involve you in that creative process so you can find that freedom. That, my friend, is ultimately what I experienced right there. And as somebody who's fortunate enough to still be in the flesh, I would hope that if for some reason my spirit gets trapped somewhere, somebody else who would be alive would give me the same kindness that I afforded this spiritual energy right there. Not judging it, not looking for it to improve because of me, but looking for it to improve because it's just time. No one deserves an eternity of depression. No one deserves an eternity of feeling as if they deserve their fate, which is something that definitely permeated off of that thing. When I was sitting on that counter, I was asking, more or less, the Holy Spirit, should I bring any light to what it is that has come my way in regards to this here? And of course, to do the therapy session, I chose to do anyway, but run around telling people, hey, this is the energy, maybe there's something here, maybe this, What came to mind is, no, that's not the purpose of what it is you need to do. All I really was asked to do was improve its energy, pray about it, and leave it alone. And as I was looking out the window and looking at the floor, as I told you guys, and I was looking out the window, looking at the floor, I was told to let it go. Let it go. I deserve what happened to me, and nobody needs to be asking no questions. That was exactly the energy that came to mind. And so, okay, I respect it. It's as far as I'll take it. I'll say this on the video, and that's it. Because I feel obligated to at least say that much. But that is all. And at the end of the day, I don't really know that there's anything to find. I don't know if there's anything under there, but there's definitely something to it. The energy is real, whatever it was. I don't know if there's nothing to find. But if there is something to find, I don't think it wants to be found. I just think it wants the energy to be at peace, and I think things need to go right back to the way they were. Put a laminate down and just let people, live here until somebody else moves in. Just let them move in and just keep on going. Ain't nothing, no questions to ask. That's what I was told. Ain't no questions to ask. Everything's good. It just needed its energy to be released from this place. So that was the vibes I got, man. No foul play. But at the end of the day, that energy is real. What I'm here to tell you is what I experienced was real. It's not here now, and if it is here, it's because it has the right to come back. It wasn't stuck here no more. God gave me the confidence to improve my situation without having to leave. And I appreciate that, I don't know that works in every situation. I ain't gonna go around to everybody's apartment and say, yo, I can get your ghost out. That ain't what I'm doing. But what I'm saying is, we organically liberated that energy together through combined prayer. We prayed together. You guys understand what I'm saying to you? We were praying together. That energy was praying for the bliss that I pray for, and the people that I pray for, and the energy and the betterment of my healing. And I was praying for it, and the people that it mattered, to, and the people that mattered did, and ultimately the circumstances it needed to heal and to have tied up, and loose ends get tied up, and all that stuff can get straightened out. And there's another energy that I want you to understand. It was more than one. That's something I failed to tell you in this video. It was more than one. It was about 2 or 3 different spirits in there. That's what I came to understand. One of them was feminine. Another one was a dude of some sort. That might have been 2. Definitely more than 1. But the feminine energy was awesome. I forgot to tell you guys about one of the situations I got involved with when I was making rice in there. I think it was the second day when I was working on, the energy of the room. And I'm like, yo, I need to make rice. And I settled on how much rice I was going to make. And just like a voice told me to go into the playlist to check the new playlist, something told me to put more rice. It said it exactly like this. You're going to want more rice in there, because you're going to have to make some too soon if you don't pour more rice in there. Now, mind you, this sounds like an inner thought that came from myself, of course, right? Just gauging more rice. Except for it wasn't. Except for it literally wasn't. Except for it was a separate voice telling me to pour more damn rice in there. Which I definitely appreciated, because I ended up having enough rice to where I didn't need to make none until 2 days ago. And I was like, do the math. So the point is, I'm being transparent with you about exactly my interactions with something that is not real, so to speak. If you're a believer in things and energy not being real, and I had a real psychological moment that you could say this boy's mind is going crazier. Very fair. Very fair. But what I'm telling you is my spirit grew. My confidence grew. My ability to fight depression grew. My ability to be the solution in the situation grew. My confidence and my ability to call on the Holy Spirit and find real, actual healing, no matter what the situation is. It's grown more confident. That's what I got from the situation. That I can be a solution, that you can be a solution, and that you are not stuck. When you get to a point, hopefully it never happens, but if you get to a point where you're in the spirit and you find yourself in a place and you can't leave, you just remember this video. Remember this video. There's a solution. You can be the solution. It's called prayer. Prayer for the betterment of others. That's where it starts. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.